Welcome to TRUUU Podcast. I'm your host, Drea.
And I'm your host, Alex.
And this week we are going to be talking about social media platforms. An interesting topic, being that it's a prevalent thing in everyone's lives, I think.
Biggest thing for millennials and the younger kids.
Oh yeah, social media, it's, just mindlessly, you're constantly on it. It affects everyone.
Constantly in contact with all your friends, seeing what they're up to.
Yeah, it's wild. But we're really going into the original social media platforms. We kind of touch on a few stories that happened to us and then kind of wrap it all up with our opinions on the impact that social media is having on future generations today.
Because we kind of, I feel like we get to have a little bit of a unique perspective being our age just because we watched this whole thing start, really.
Yeah, from kind of like the first platforms, which we talk about being Zanga, which I know it's Friendster, it's a different one.
Yeah.
But we kind of start with Zanga, moved to MySpace, Facebook, all that good stuff, and now kind of just like ending with, where we are with Instagram and like all that goodies.
The social implications of all stuff.
Yes, like what it really means to be a social media influencer.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's kind of what we're talking about. Hopefully you guys enjoy.
Yeah, for sure.
And take a listen.
So today we're talking about the social media age, since we feel like that's really pertinent to anyone who grew up in the years that we grew up. We kind of watched social media blossom and really develop into what it is today.
Which, what is it today, really?
It's really... To me, personally, I feel like it's a whole bunch of, for the most part, self-involvement.
Okay. Yeah, like kind of like you want...
Not to be super harsh or anything.
No, for sure. But I kind of agree. Okay, wait, hold on, time out. Mm-hmm. So on the one side, I feel like social media is like a way for everyone to, in essence, like show off their life.
Oh, absolutely.
And then on the flip side, I think it's a really good source of entertainment in terms of like memes, which is a completely different thing.
Oh, for sure.
But like, for me, that's what social media is.
Yeah. So there's like, the people who are using it in I feel like a healthy way, who are just about like, here's updates on my life and all this whatever. And then there's a giant and growing segment of the population who is trying to become a social media influencer.
Right.
But we'll get to that later.
God. Okay.
So right now we'll start with really like the super OG social media platforms that we remember.
Right. That we remember. Let's disclose that, because I'm sure there's probably some that exist, like underground ones that exist that we just don't know about.
So to that point, when I was doing research on this before, apparently with the internet credits as being like the quote unquote first social media platform was called Friendster.
Oh, you know what? Oh, wait, no. Maybe I'm like confusing that with Napster.
You probably
Okay, because I'm just like, why do I know that? But okay, never mind. Okay, just
technically the first one would probably be considered Friendster.
Okay.
And then one of the other earlier ones, which I remember, is Zanga, which was founded in 1999.
Which barf.
Before the new millennium.
God. Okay, I remembered Zanga like very vividly, but I was never on it.
I was on it. I got on it in I think about 2003 or 2004 because my friend who lived down the street from me on another dairy, she is the one who made me one.
Okay.
And not that I knew really the implications of social media like back then. Like really what it was back then was a blog.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Because like it wasn't near, what it is today. So it was mostly like a blog for like sharing, writing stuff or sharing like photography or like that sort of thing.
Oh my gosh, wait, I'm so sorry because I'm gonna forget if I don't say this right now.
Okay.
Do you remember, and it still exists today, but like all of the like photo sharing websites, like PhotoBucket and like Flickr.
Yes.
What happened to that? Like that was like a thing. Like why was it a thing? But it was a thing.
I mean, it probably, decreased in popularity after Instagram. I would assume, because everyone would just show their pictures in a more casual way.
I feel like I never really like did like on my Flickr account or whatever, like I didn't do like pictures I would post today on, or like even at any point on Instagram, like I posted like photography, like my version of like, I'm a photographer, look at my crap.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be able to testify to it because I never used any of those.
Okay, let's keep pushing forward, sorry.
Going back, so I got to Zanga in maybe like 2003, 2004, was posting like really dumb things, like inside
like
jokes.
What? Like
I could not even tell you. I have the worst memory for this sort of stuff. But like it was just like some weird, like, anecdotal rhyme things that me and my friends made up. I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Does Zanga still exist to this day?
Yes, I think so.
So, in theory, would we be able to find your account?
Probably not, in that it wasn't, like, my name.
Oh God, you're one of those people who like did it under like Little Miss Redhead or like something like that.
Something like that.
Oh God,
But I
that's
couldn't
just such a like
I couldn't
such a
even
cringe
tell you.
of our like childhood that we all did.
But also we might not be able to, because of my next little story about it is that, so I had it back then, obviously, because at that time I was like 9 or 10 years old. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to be posting blogs.
Yeah.
Like, that's
anything
not
of worth.
Yeah, that's not anything. Like, I lost interest in it in, like 2 seconds. So, like, it fell to the wayside. I forgot about it for like 2 or 3 years. So in 2006, I looked it up once, like, at my home computer, and then my mom noticed that I was looking at it, and she's like, "What is this?" And I tell her, and she gets super upset because she had no idea.
That you had one.
That I had one.
Oh, okay, got it.
So understandably, she was like upset because you just like don't just be like posting stuff on the internet, because there's a lot more stranger dangery back then, and also because there was a message center, like, for my page, and like some gross guy had messaged me on there and was being like lewd, and this is what the first thing that my mom is seeing.
Oh, fantastic.
Good. Obviously,
she's like, God, what are you doing?
Basically, so it might have actually been deleted.
Oh, okay. Got it. All right.
I couldn't really tell you. I don't really remember it that well.
Maybe in future episodes we'll do a detective episode where we go and try to find our old crap.
Maybe.
Okay. Okay, so then after the Zanga age, well, I mean, not necessarily after the Zanga age, but like kind of a few years later is when MySpace became a big thing, and that was brought around in 2003. I have a funny story about MySpace in the early days, because so 2 years after MySpace was founded, so in 2005, I was in 5th grade. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know how it all started, but like there was this thing that went around my elementary school where everyone was just like, oh, it's so cool to have a MySpace. Mm-hmm. So we all started making MySpaces, us as like little 5th graders. Mm-hmm. When there was like a age restriction on MySpace. You had to be like 18 or something, or I don't know, something. Or like, I don't know what it was, but there was an age restriction. So all of us were obviously lying. We all had our accounts, and it was like all fun and good. And it wasn't an issue until somebody, which to this day, I don't know who it was, but somebody made a page called Mesa. That was my elementary school, Mesa Anonymous, or like Mesa. No, it was Mesa Gossip.
Oh, goodness.
And everyone posted on there anonymously.
Yeah, for sure.
Like all this like random gossip about like teachers, about students, about just everything. And it was, like, pretty juicy. Like, all things admitted, it was pretty juicy. And I don't know what happened. Probably someone who was on, like, who was ratted out on the page. Like, someone posted gossip about them. I'm assuming it was this person. But somebody ratted this whole thing out to the administration. So, like, the principal, one day, I remember coming to school, like, whatever, normal day. And the principal, like, canceled all classes in the morning of a public school. Like, that's not a thing that happens. And she, like, brought everyone in the 5th grade to the auditorium, and she was like, we have an issue. We're getting down to the bottom of this. And they had like a whole like investigation on us 5th graders, and called in every single one of like the kids that they found on MySpace that had like a profile, brought in their parents, were like looking through our page, we're like dissecting everything. In retrospect, it was really an invasion of privacy. Yeah. But I mean, also we were 5th graders. But like, yeah, and I just remember like my mom coming in, and it was weird because like my mom's my mom, you know, like she's super liberal. And so, today, if this sort of happened in like the same situation, but not in like school, like if she were to find out that I had a MySpace page like at home or something, she would not have reacted the same, I'm thinking. Because in school, she like was looking at me like, why didn't you tell me this? Like, like being a mom. Yeah. And I was just like, shut up, Mom. Like, you don't care. But like, yeah, like I got in trouble. But I wasn't doing anything bad. I was just on there to hang out with my friends, which I think is why my mom wouldn't have been mad in real life, because like she was saying that like I'm not doing anything. I'm just being a fool. But yeah, I remember like the kids posting things like, oh, like this teacher has breast implants and like all this stuff, like crazy nonsense. And I'm just like, we're in 5th grade, but also I was reading it like I was like, ooh, like what is everyone posting today? So that was my first interaction with MySpace, 5th grade.
Well, for me, MySpace didn't really rise to prominence in my social circle until like 2008.
Okay, so 8th grade, yeah, that's more acceptable.
Yeah, more acceptable. I didn't really notice it before then, and also I kind of wonder, like, really how people, you know, find out things in private schools. Like, we might have been just a little bit behind everyone else because of, you know, the whole private school sheltered
Yeah, like thing. The bubble.
Yeah. So, you know, I wonder about that as well. But one of my best friends had a MySpace back then. And obviously, because of the Zanga debacle, I was not allowed to have social media.
Right, okay.
Of any kind.
Right.
I was not, like, I didn't ask my parents if I could have a MySpace because I already knew the
answer was
resounding no.
Got it.
You may not.
Yeah.
So, to me, I didn't really know too much about it. I mean, I know that one of your friends is automatically Tom.
Yeah.
The guy who made MySpace.
When you start it, you have your first friend is Tom, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, it wasn't really that much of a thing. Like, I know that it more so had started out, I think, as, like, a platform for, like, artists to share music.
That's what it became.
Which it did?
Yeah, that's what it became.
Oh, well,
when it started, it was, like, I think it was more just, like, a friend platform. Like, you had your, like, top 8 where you would organize, which is also an interesting concept to, like, rank your friends. Exactly.
The worst.
Yeah, to rank your friends, and then, like, you know, you would comment on each other. There was, like, bulletin boards where it was, like, basically statuses. It was really, like, the first Facebook, kind of. It was, like, the preliminary Facebook in retrospect.
You know, here's my thing, because I really, like, thinking about it, like, ranking your friends and, like, this anonymous, like, you know, MySpace that was dedicated to gossip. I'm just kind of like, it really is the precursor to how things in social media have fallen off the rails now.
Absolutely.
Like, it's crazy to be like, well, here are the warning signs.
Go do with it what you will.
Yeah.
But one more thing about MySpace really fast. I'm positive that you never were in this, like, social circle. I know that you weren't. But let me enlighten you a little bit about some stuff that was going on in MySpace.
All right.
Because my sister, when she was in high school, which was around the same time that I was on MySpace, she was, like, really heavily into, like, the scene aesthetic.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And a lot of people would, like, use her picture because she's pretty, you know, and she was, like, a really cute scene girl. And, like, a lot of people use her pictures as, like, a catfish photo.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So she would all the time get messages from people being like, are you really, like, Teresa or something? And she's just like, what are you talking about? Or, like, people would be like, like, who are you? You know, kind of deal. And she's just like, I don't know what's happening with my life. But anyways, and something that would happen with a lot of, like, the scene culture, like emo culture, is there would be these things called, I'm going to have to, like, censor myself, but they're called trains. And they were on MySpace. And basically what it was is that, like, you would, depending on how many friends you had, you would, like submit or apply to these different, like, trains that would be posted on everyone's bulletins. And it would be, like, a bunch of people's pictures. And it'd be, like, aesthetically, like, hot people, whatever. And, like, people would, like, open them and, like, add the people that, like, they thought were cute. And so it would, like, increase your friend, like, amount to, like, gain popularity.
What a vulgar name.
Yeah.
For no reason.
For no reason. And so, like, that was something that, like, my sister was all over because she had, like, a ton of friends and, like, she was gaining a lot of popularity. I guess it was, like, the first intro to, like, internet fame. Well, like, aside from, like, YouTube and stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, the first entry to, like influencers or something. Because it was just, you know, like, whoever had, like, the most amount of friends was, like, the ones gaining popularity. And, like, for example, my sister was, like, her photo was used to, like, catfish a bunch of other people because, like, a lot of people saw her page and all this, you know. And so that was something that, like, I was on for, like, 1 minute. Because I was just like, oh, my sister's doing it, so cool. And then, like, I got on it. And that's how I met Colin.
Oh, yeah?
Well, Washington Matt. That's how I met one of the guys I eventually dated. Because we, like, he added me through one of these things or something,
Nice,
or I added to
nice.
him or something like that.
Lord.
Yeah, it was like crazy, but that was like a big thing that was happening on MySpace. I'm guarantee you were not a part of it.
Part of that? No.
Yeah. I can imagine, yeah.
I mean, I hung out with some scene kids in high school, but no, I wasn't a part of that particular thing that you were talking about. I know nothing about it. This is the first time I'm hearing about it, and I'm disturbed by it.
It was really a weird, like, cultural thing that happened, but it was huge. Like, it was big.
It's so depraved.
Yeah, there was, like, rules you had to follow, too, to be on those trains. Like, you had to, like, post the train on your bulletin, like, 2 times a week or something, or you had to keep, like, a maximum following amount. And you were also ranked in, like, the trains. Like, there was, like, the first category would be, like, I don't know, like, the kids, and then, like, the next one is just, like, the queens, and then, like, the royals, and, like, depending on, like, how many friends you had, you got filtered into those categories.
Yikes.
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird.
Yes, definitely, I would say.
But it was a thing.
Very weird. So another thing, which I don't really feel like per se was social media, but we'll just lump it in here, is AIM. AIM. AOL Instant Messenger.
For me, it kind of was social media because, okay, what is social media? You, like, connect somehow with your friends, right?
Yeah, I guess.
And that was, like, before, when AIM was, like, a popular thing, it was before we had texting and, like, all the cell phone stuff.
For sure.
So it was, like, a means of connecting with your friends.
Yes.
So, yeah, I would consider it social media.
I suppose so. I mean, I had one as well, an AIM. I mean, I got it pretty late in the game, and I only really talked to my best friend on it because she's the only one who also had an AIM account.
For sure. I mean, that's, like, you know, that's what everyone did.
So it'd be like seeing her at school, taking the bus home, going online to see if she was online, and then messaging her for hours, and just kind of like we didn't just see each other.
That's cute. It's cute. I like it.
It was whatever, so.
Yeah, I was on AIM, which I think I've talked about it already in a different podcast. Well, you know what? Our podcasts are a little bit out of order right now, but at some point I will talk about my AIM experience.
Yeah.
So just keep listening in. But yeah, one other thing was the emails associated with AIM were largely like used like forever. Like I know you were using it well into your teens.
Yeah. So my AIM account was my main email until April 2018.
Which is too long.
Which is very too long. Like when people would still like, I would, you know, nowadays whenever you buy something, usually they want your email so like they could send you like coupons or whatever.
Promotional.
So, you know, they ask for the email and I tell them and they give me a second look every time because it's just like, really? You still use AIM? Like that's still a thing?
Yep.
So,
amazing. What was the platform like when you logged in? Was it like super outdated?
I rarely went on it, like on an actual computer. Like mostly I just had it connected on my phone and that's like how I read emails. But yeah, like you go on AIM now and it doesn't look anywhere as nice as like Gmail, for example, which is what I switched to in April 2018.
Thank God for that.
I switched my primary email to Gmail. And I would like to point out, just to defend myself a little bit, is that I'm so lazy that if I don't have to change something, I won't. So it's mostly because, you know, you get to the point, like, when you're a teenager and you're, like, actively buying stuff, that when you're signing up for stuff via email, it's just kind of like, I don't want to go to all these sites and change the email.
Yeah.
That's my primary reason why it took me so long to change it, because I'm just kind of like, ugh, I don't want to put in the work.
Just a headache. Yeah, I see it. Yeah, but similar but kind of different from AIM. There was also during this time period Omegle and Chat Roulette. Which first off, I don't know if I'm actually pronouncing Omegle correctly. It might be Omegle. I don't know. I've heard people say it a lot of different ways. But it was it was like video chatting. It was like Skype, but with like randos. So like Chat Roulette especially. I think Omegle was more like you could choose who you talk to. I don't know. I didn't really use them extensively. But Chat Roulette was just like you went on to video chat and you just you'd get a random person.
So I definitely remember hearing about that back in the day. Would I be able to get away with that in my household? No.
No.
Like there was, I think maybe starting from the Zanga debacle is when my mom put parental controls on our computer.
Amazing.
Or my parents did,
I mean, makes sense. She was just trying to protect you guys.
Yeah, so something like that. I don't think I would even be able to bring up the webpage.
Yeah. I mean, I really didn't go on it. Not so much because I wasn't allowed. Mm-hmm. It's just I had no interest. Like, me being an introvert, I was just like, I don't want to be like talking to some rando kind of deal. But I did have friends, one friend in particular, who would go on all the time. And she would like, her and her other friend who they would do this, they would like get done up for this. Like, they would put fake eyelashes on, like do their makeup full on, like look real hot and like go on. And she eventually like met a guy who lived in like the UK who like she became like in a relationship with. And he like came over to like visit her. And like he was like much older too. Like, we were in high school and like he was like already 20 or something like that. And it was so weird to me because I was just like, her parents were also fine with it, which I was like, that's so weird to me. Like, if I told my mom like some guy that I met on like chat roulette was coming over to visit me and was like gonna stay in my room with me, like they'd be like, like, I think not. But yeah, like that was like a thing. Like, girls would like really get into it.
I mean, me being, you know, the age I am now, and I'm sure for you as well, like thinking about that kind of idea just terrifies me in the sense that I'm just like, that is so unsafe.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm sure that there are, like, sickos out there who are just kind of like...
Well, this guy ended up being, like, a weirdo. Like, I forget what happened exactly, but, like, he ended up being a weirdo.
Well, yeah, that checks out. That makes like, sense that it would be like, yeah, that's strange.
Yeah.
Ugh, gross. So, moving on a little bit, the next... Well, I feel like the first really big, like when social media started blowing up, really was Facebook.
Yeah.
So Facebook was created in 2004 by Mark Zuckerberg. Most people know that.
Yeah, because it's such a big platform.
Like, there's a movie about it. Yeah. Like, you know, it's something that people know. So, you know, in case you didn't know, it was originally created for college students.
Yes.
Until about 2006, where it opened up to the public, but you had to be 13 years or older to have one, which obviously, you know, people fake that really easily.
Absolutely.
Like, quick sidebar, like, I was just the other day, the only reason I go on Facebook anymore is primarily to check birthdays.
Oh, absolutely. I think everyone does that.
Because I'm just like, I'm not interested in posting anything on there anymore. Sure. Like, I'm kind of beyond that part of my life right now. But the primary reason is I checked for birthdays, and it was my cousin's 18th birthday recently. And usually, like, if you have a year associated with your birthday on there, it tells you, like, what age they're going to be.
Oh, did it say she was, like, 28 or something?
It said she was 37.
Yeah, okay,
and
yeah.
Kind of like, well, someone was trying to get a Facebook before she was of age.
Absolutely, I've seen that.
Laughed forever about that. That was so funny to me. So, yeah, obviously, you know, most kids, when that came out, like, if they were too young, they just faked it. Yeah. But that was really the first honest-to-goodness social media I had. Only because my mom was just kind of like, all right, you can have a Facebook when I was 15. This was when I was a freshman in high school, I was 15. She's like, okay, you could have a Facebook, but it's only because I'm going to make one, and we're going to be friends.
Oh, God.
So I can, you know, make sure that everything's, you know, good.
Your mom... She was really keeping that short leash.
You know, here's the thing, is that, like, I say this all the time. I'm like, there's nothing bad about having your parents love you so much.
No, it's totally fine.
Because I'm just kind of like, I understand the impulse. Because, you know, now that I'm older, like, you know, you hear about all these horrible things that go on social media. So I'm just kind of like, yeah, her trying to protect me from that checks out.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, obviously, it was a little like, Mom, when, you know,
at the time, it's annoying, but as an adult, you can appreciate it.
But I was also super excited about, you know, finally having, like, social media. Like, it was
being a part of the world.
And I regret it to this day. Because, like, back then, like, I was posting status updates on Facebook every day. Multiple times a day.
The cringe.
I am still, to this day, trying to delete all of those, like, really old, like, Facebook statuses, because Facebook now has a feature where there's a memories tab. So you click on it, and you see all the stuff that you've done in Facebook on that particular day, like, since you started at Facebook. So, like, sometimes I have, like, 8 or 9 memories, and it's all this, like,
nonsense
trash that I posted when I was... you know, a young teenager, and I'm living in so much regret, because I'm just kind of like, I was so dumb. Why would I feel like saying any of this stuff? No one cares, and I just delete it.
Great.
I go on every day to check birthdays and to check my memory so I could delete things.
Amazing. I don't have that issue for one reason only.
Okay.
Because when I first had my Facebook and I did all that nonsense, which I'm sure I did also, one of my ex-boyfriends, which I will also, well, actually, I don't know if I talked about him so much, but he was crazy. And after we broke up, he like hacked into my Facebook and like changed all my information. I don't know, just like was a douche about it and then locked me out. So I never had access to that account again, so I had to start a new one when I was older so I can like start fresh kind of deal. But to this day, if you look me up on Facebook, you'll find two of me and one is definitely a younger version and I don't even know what's on it. Hopefully nothing bad. But yeah.
Man.
So I don't have that issue, but because I got commandeered.
Yeah, so for a long time, Facebook like was a really big thing amongst anyone who was our age. There was a lot of like I don't remember like I don't know if you remember, but like you could collect these button things.
Buttons, no.
Like I was actually like deleting something. You know, I was sitting with you the other day and I was just going through my timeline deleting things.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like there was this external kind of page where you can add buttons to your profile that said like fun things.
I don't remember.
They were super dope. I remember like looking through pages and pages of these buttons when I was, you know, a younger teenager. And then like being tagged in like those pictures that like it was like a grid and each box said something different. Like,
Oh yeah, I remember that. It was just like
tag a friend who has red hair.
Yeah. I remember those. I always got like the grumpy
your
one.
best friend.
Yeah,
All that
I
stuff.
totally remember that. I'm pretty sure on my sister's account, if I look through all her tagged photos, I'll probably find one of those things.
Oh, for sure. I still have one associated with my account as well.
Amazing. I love those. Those are actually fun. Okay, yeah. So then, but then after, well, I don't even know after necessarily.
Because a lot of these were happening simultaneously,
Yeah.
really. And then, like, they fade in and out of popularity as other social media platforms gain popularity.
I think like once other social media platforms like do updates that optimize the user experience is when like that fluctuates.
When they declare their supremacy, they're just
Yeah.
kind of like, I'm the cool thing now.
Exactly. But 2 years after Facebook was founded in 2006 is when Twitter came out. And to be honest with you, to this day, I'm 25 years old, a millennial, and I do not know how to use Twitter.
See, that's the thing. I think that we both share this aspect of our personality where we're fairly introverted and, you know, all that stuff. So not to say that introverts can't use Twitter, because that's not at all what we're saying, but my whole thing always with Twitter, first of all, I didn't have a Twitter until I was 20 or 21, only because it was a requirement for my news writing class.
Right.
Because we had to stay current on news, and like you get news from Twitter as well. Like you could
Right.
follow news agencies or whatever. So that's the only reason why I had one initially. Because it was a class requirement. However, like after that class, when it came to just like having one for personal reasons, it's just kind of like, I don't know what to say on here because it's all about, you know, sharing,
What
you
you're
know,
doing.
quick little things.
Yeah.
So it could be what you're doing. It could be your opinions about things.
Okay. See, I don't even know. I don't know how to use Twitter.
Like basically, if you have any random thought, you tweet it.
Oh, God.
Yes.
People don't want entry into my brain.
See, that's the thing. I'm just kind of like, no one's going to care about what I have to say on
Absolutely.
Twitter.
No one's going to
I
care.
have no idea what I would even say on there.
Yeah.
Which actually, I do have. There was a very short span of 6 months, like a year ago, where I was trying to be more active on Twitter because
Okay.
like I had friends who like really enjoyed it and whatever. So I was like following more people and I was trying to be more active about tweeting.
Okay.
So I did have this really funny thread where the air conditioning in my car was broken and I had to drive all the way to work, which for me is 45 miles one way. So that my air conditioning was broken in the middle of spring in Southern California, you know, driving in traffic.
Yikes.
So I was covered in sweat by the time that I got to work.
That's
you know, basically.
horrific.
So it was a span of a couple days where, you know, this was a thing. So one particular day while I was at a gas station, like waiting to get gas, because I go to the Sam's Club gas, so there's always lines. So I was tweeting a thread about
Your sweat.
my woes of having my air conditioner be broken, but to like the lyrical tune of 1,000 Miles by Vanessa Carlton.
Oh, that's pretty funny. Oh my gosh, that's pretty good. That's pretty smart.
Yeah, I was really enjoying myself.
Yeah, I would enjoy it.
It was great. So that was like my only
Your
like,
only
really,
time on Twitter.
yeah, that was like my peak right
Yeah.
there.
Your
my
peak.
The long story short, what I'm trying to get to is that ultimately I stopped using it because I feel like, you know, in a space where you're allowed to share your opinion so liberally, there's a lot of opportunity to get hateful.
Absolutely.
So that like was the main reason why I haven't really been on Twitter since, is because there was so much hate being spewed on there. And I didn't really follow a lot of people. And a lot of people were, you know, just people I actually knew in real life. Like a lot of the accounts I followed were people I knew. And just like, I couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
It was stressing me out. It was bumming me out. I was kind of like, I don't really need to see any of this. I don't need to see like people spewing hate at each other.
Absolutely. I wouldn't be able to do it. I have a Twitter. What's on it? I don't know. But I got it only because one of my ex-boyfriends, like, he was really big about Twitter, and I low-key was just like, I want to see what he's posting on there. So like I got one. And that was it. Like I don't know what I'm going to post on it. I don't know what to post on that.
There are, like, for scrolling purposes only, there are some pretty good gems on there where it's just, like, really funny if you follow certain people.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, whether you're willing to weigh the cost benefit of that.
Of, like, all the negativity versus the one funny.
Because I'd like to point out that I'm not saying that all of Twitter is negative or whatever, because I'm sure that people have really positive experiences with it. It just mine wasn't.
Right. Which I feel the same way, because I feel like we have the same kind of stance on things, which is like, why? Like, why does this need to be said kind of deal?
Yeah.
So I would agree with you probably.
Yeah, so.
But, yeah, and so in 2010, after Twitter and Facebook were, like, becoming a thing, is when Instagram was established. Which arguably is, I think, one of the most popular platforms today.
Yes. I think, you know, I'm on the same, like, level, if not a little bit above, like, Twitter. Because I think that you definitely, as a person, become polarized into social media camps. Like, that you're just like, this is the most popular one.
Yeah.
So I feel like for you and I, for our kind of personality, Instagram.
Yeah, sure. And I just feel like Instagram is just, like, kind of like what we were talking about in the beginning of the podcast, where, in a sense, is a way for you to show off.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, like, I'm just interested in, like, the aesthetic of a lot of people's pictures. Like, when it's really, like, scenic or it's really pretty, like, I'm just really into that. But on the flip side, I'm also really on Instagram for a good laugh. Like, when I see some dog videos, I'm all there for it.
Like the dog video I sent her at 4 o'clock in the morning last
Yes, I'm
night.
so for that. Like, send me all the dog videos at whatever time of the day, and I'm so for it.
Yes, it was the best video ever. So I'd like to point out about Instagram. I vividly remember downloading this when it first came out, around when it first came out in 2010. I was sitting in my room on my bed doing my math homework, or procrastinating on my math homework, while listening to the first Step Up soundtrack.
Oh, God. Okay, what a sign of the times.
Yeah, on my iPod.
Great.
You know, all that stuff. So I was scrolling through, it was my iTouch actually, so I was scrolling through the App Store.
Okay.
Because at that time I really liked downloading a bunch of apps and messing around, playing and whatever. It was dumb.
Right.
But I saw Instagram, which definitely doesn't have, like, the same, like, the app doesn't look the same anymore. Like, it was
Oh, no, it looked
totally
like a TV
different.
kind of, right?
It did. A little bit, like an old-timey camera.
Yeah.
So I downloaded it, and I, like, made myself a profile, and then I was, like, kind of looking around on it. And at the time, when it first started, it was mostly for photographers to show off their stuff.
Right. Like a portfolio.
Yeah, kind of. You know, people just posted their actual photography. And obviously, since I am not into photography, I'm just like, all right, I'm not interested in this. I close the app. I don't delete it. I close it. And it stays that way until 2013, about when I meet you guys and every one of you is on Instagram. And then by that time, I'd totally forgotten about it. And then you're just like, all you guys were just kind of like, oh, you should make Instagram, Alex. So I go to download the app and notice that I already
have it.
like, in the cloud, like, setting, like, I'm just, like, downloading it from the cloud. So I downloaded it onto my phone. And I realized that I already have an account. So I'm just like, oh, awkward. So I just tweak my handle a little bit, because at that point it was just like my name and first name, but now it turned out to be my nickname.
Little pun.
It's a little pun on my last name.
Right.
But yeah, so that's how I got back into Instagram.
That's so funny. Yeah, I'd gone into Instagram, I think like right as I was graduating high school, so in 2012. And it was crap. Like, you know, like I didn't know how to use it. But to this day, like I've consistently used it since then to this day.
Yeah, for sure.
So I would say it's a platform that's still really trucking. Like it's up there.
Well, it's helped that it's evolved so much, because like now you're able to earn money from it.
Yeah.
Like you can monetize your content, which we'll get back to a little bit later, but it's definitely a lot different now and
than when it started.
And there are so many like more different kinds of profiles like you could follow now than, you know, when we first started doing all this stuff. Sure. Like it wasn't about like having an aesthetic back then. It was just about,
it was just like, this is what I'm doing.
This is a snapshot of my life.
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of deal. So another platform that really wasn't social media, I don't think really at first, but kind of has turned into that now. Yeah, is YouTube. So YouTube was founded in 2005. And it was just really about uploading your personal videos to like just share to the public.
Yeah,
since then has become a whole different beast.
It really, YouTube especially, I think, has been like the most improved kind of deal, like award, where it's transformed. Because like you said in the beginning, it was just kind of like this weird platform, which was fun. It was fun, but like now it's become, in essence, like a different TV station, you know what I mean? Like now it's like episodes that you can watch like for entertainment. You can go on there for like educational purposes. Like there's a ton of tutorials. Like depending on what your prerogative is, like you can really find it anywhere on YouTube.
Yeah, the content has expanded really so much, and especially the new advances in user-generated content. And now they're adding, you know, live TV they've added, you know, live TV aspect. You get hit up all the time when you're on YouTube. Hey, do you want to start a free trial of YouTube TV?
It's like now. But it's really been, because I do not watch conventional TV. I don't watch cable. I don't watch DirecTV, whatever. Like I really get all my information like through YouTube, like all my news information, like on the news channels on YouTube. Like that's where I go to whenever I'm looking up how to do anything. Like I just Google or, you know, or like YouTube, whatever, same owners. You know, like how to do this, how to do that, like show me how to do this, whatever. Like I've learned how to use all of like my apps on my computer, like all the Adobe suite, like everything, all that jazz. Like I've learned it on YouTube. And it's crazy how we've become this society that like it's just it's so crazy how much knowledge you have accessible to you. Whereas when we were talking about like the internet, you know, like sure you can look up something on the internet, but on YouTube like you can see the visual of it.
Yeah, because for most people, you know, they need to see something in order to actually like learn how to do it. So it's a lot easier when someone is explaining it to you and showing it to you at the same time.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely bonkers. YouTube is great.
Yeah, and you know, YouTube is really, it's a good way for us to segue into social media influencers, I believe, because, you know, the big thing on YouTube nowadays is having your own YouTube channel and creating your own content and becoming, you know, famous really because of it. Like,
yeah, how anyone can attain like fame at this point. Like you don't need to have anything special necessarily about you to like become an influencer.
Yeah.
Which is good and bad, I think, because one, it's good because it's just like, okay, you can be who you want to be kind of deal.
Sure.
But on the flip side, it's become to me this negative, it's had a negative impact on youth. Because I feel like in our generation, we can be of the sound mind that like, you know, there are people who have gained popularity on these social media platforms, which is great, but not necessarily everyone is going to get that. And so we can understand that. But I feel like younger generations, like, you know, like I've asked kids like, oh, like what do you want to be when you grow up? And they're just like a YouTuber, you know, kind of deal. It's just like, that's what they're aspiring to be.
Yeah. So I think that it creates the false senses. this whole phenomenon of being like a YouTuber or being like, an Instagram model or being any of this stuff, it's kind of like when we were growing up wanting to be a movie or TV star.
Yeah.
Like thinking that was something that could be relatively easy to do, even though in reality it's a lot of luck and it's a lot of hard work. And, people misunderstanding that. Yeah. I think that, kids wanting to be YouTubers and just like, you have no idea like how much work really goes into it. Not saying that they can't. No, yeah. Because they totally can if you're willing to put in the work for that. But who's to say that your brand is going to take off?
Exactly. Which it's like, exactly to your point, it's just like, who's to say that it'll actually work for you? But the thing is, the fact that YouTube and Instagram and all these platforms are so accessible is, I feel, what is clouding that part of the knowledge, that like there's a disconnect between like actually understanding how much work you have to put into it when it's so easy to just like post something really fast, And
also I think that there's an argument that can be made that like, just because like it's great that we live in a time where you can post anything that you want so easily and you can share your opinion so easily, like we're sharing our opinion right now in this podcast. I've always been of the idea, like for this podcast, I don't really care if like people listen to it. It's mostly just a fun thing for you and I to do together, and that's great.
Exactly.
However, it gets really dangerous when people could influence like the conversation and influence people's thoughts about things.
Yes.
Like, I walked in to your bow shop the other day and you were watching a YouTube video about this whole feud between some YouTubers, and we don't really need to get into the details of that. However, I worry about like, YouTubers are all taking sides and whatever, and I'm just kind of like, this is what we're popularizing. We're popularizing, a fight between two people that doesn't need to be in the public eye at all. Absolutely. It doesn't need to garner any kind of attention, and it's really a waste of our time.
That point that you brought up is really a profound thought, because I am so in accordance with that concept. Like, now that we have social media, now that there's all these platforms that are so easily accessible to us, it's like all of us, and especially people who are the influencers, are not living their lives. They're living their lives in the public, like nothing is behind closed doors anymore, which is kind of a scary thing, because we're not going to get into like exactly what I was watching the other day, but going to your same point, in the case when I was watching, the breaking news, whatever, about the two YouTubers, it's like in the flip of a switch, one of the YouTubers' career was like almost ruined because the other person just decided that they were going to make things public, which wasn't even true. Like all the things were false. So it's just like, wow, like the fact that everyone has that much say in your success as an individual is a little bit horrifying.
Yeah. And I feel like also because, YouTube, especially Instagram as well, but it's such a public platform that I feel like it could really mess with your mind because, I think that most famous people that I've like read interviews on and whatever, a lot of them who are really like down to earth and have it together are saying that they don't like being famous. Where when you're looking for that, I think that it might do a certain thing to your mind where just like a lot of your self-worth comes from,
how many likes you got, how many comments you have.
Yeah, exactly.
Subscriber counts.
So, the whole thing is really dangerous in my opinion.
Sure.
And, for me, like I really only go on Instagram nowadays to kind of see where my friends are at, like see what they're doing. But I really don't like to post anything. I think that, certain aspects of my life should be private. That, I just want to live in the moment with the people I'm around.
Yeah.
And, I feel like I've been a lot healthier, like mentally because of that. Yeah. Not to say that, that's the only way to be, because it's definitely not. Like you could enjoy your stuff how you want, but, I think that it's just worth pointing out because I was on Snapchat the other day.
Which we forgot to talk about, but it exists.
We'll circle back. So, I was on Snapchat the other day, and under where your friends' stories are at, like there's different like sponsored like company stories. Yeah. Like I was on the Cosmopolitan one because there's a headline that caught my eye. So I was scrolling through, and it was this story about, celebrities who have photoshopped their pictures on their social media, and it's like obvious, which, you can feel how you want about that, I guess. But, like, I was reading through it because, like, it showed you, like, little snapshots of it, and then it went to a main article, and I was reading the main article. And it was giving, like, people's responses to, like, pointing out.
The critical responses?
The critical responses. I'm just kind of like, why do you need to jump on someone's back like that?
Yeah.
Like, in a comment?
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, you don't know them.
You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what mental state they're in.
Because, like, for sure, like, especially since a lot of them are women, like, exclusively, really, the people in this article were women. So, you know, most women and most people in general have things on their body that they don't like.
Absolutely.
So them wanting to, like, you know, tweak that, it's not really too far-fetched.
Yeah.
Even though the execution hasn't been great, there's no need to be rude and be like, hey, you need to hire new photo editors because this looks trash.
Yeah, I feel like it's also just like this culture of like clapbacks is also another issue because it's like now people just want to like be funny with their like smart like retorts, you know?
Yeah, at any cost, really.
Yeah, and it's just like but then they don't think about the grand scheme of it. It's just like imagine like, you know, someone who has like body dysmorphia, for example, and they have real issues with like their weight or something, and they can't take looking at themselves that way. So like they want to post a picture, they want to seem pretty, they want to just feel validated.
Yeah.
So they do this, and then people come back at it just being like, like, why did you do this? You look so fat. This is this, like, la la, like, you know, be real. I don't know what people say. Yeah. But like imagine just like the mental impact that has on that person's psyche.
Yeah.
It's horrific. And like in that sense, social media really is like really damaging to a lot of people's self-worth.
Like if you really want to see the depravity of some people's humanity, all you have to do is go to a mildly controversial celebrity and just open the comment section and see the downward spiral that just happens where they're talking about that nothing that has to do with the photo that was posted or the video
and just
that was
about
posted.
Like the person.
Just about the person, or even just like commenters hating on each other.
Yeah, and I know people like this who just they have this undying need to just post, to say something, to always say something about whatever. And it's like, why do you need to do that? Like you can say it to your friend, say it to me, whatever, like in person, say it to yourself. I don't care. Why do you need to put it out in the world? Yeah. Like why is that so detrimental to your being?
I'm a big proponent of just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Sure. Absolutely.
And I try to be fairly cognizant of that in my own life. Like, I know that I'm not perfect. Like, I'm a part of the problem in the sense that I am, like, looking at these clickbait articles.
Absolutely, me too.
So I'm not claiming to be, you know, above it all. I'm definitely not. However, I think that it's worth pointing out that, you know, it's a slippery slope, this stuff. It can be done in a really positive way. But more often than not, you see it done in a very negative way.
Yeah. I think the whole, like, takeaway that we're trying to get at is that, like, obviously everyone's going to have opinions on everything. You know, like, you as a person have an opinion on buttons, you know? Like, just, like, no matter what it is, you have an opinion.
Yeah.
But is it really necessary to like do something about it? You know, is it really going to affect your life that much where you need to do something about it? Do you need to say something about Kim Kardashian's latest picture? Is that going to change your life? You know, kind of deal?
Well, and like the point that really I like to make is that nothing about these platforms in and of itself is bad. Yeah. It's really how you use it and being cognizant of what you're putting out there into the world, and like even the perception that you're giving of yourself by making the comments that people make and all this stuff. Yeah. Because I try to be very limited in what I post in general, just because I don't want it to reflect badly on my family. I don't want it to like reflect badly on my, you know, work. I don't want to do any of that stuff.
Yeah. I think also just you and I, though, have just different opinions than most people. Yeah. Because, like we're more like, what impact does this have on us
We don't like to say inflammatory things.
Yeah. And like, I'm a very opinionated person. Sure. I'm so polarized to like one side. And yet I'm not out here posting all this nonsense, like telling people my thoughts on the whole world. Because I don't want people to be upset. Like, I don't want to upset someone's day if they disagree with me.
Yeah. And I think a part of the whole, you know, freedom of speech and then, you know, just having your own free will and that stuff is great. Sure. Absolutely. I'm not knocking that at all, but I think it's all about using that with discretion.
Yes.
So winding down a little bit, not to speak for you, Drea, but I think that one of the main reasons why we kind of just gloss over Snapchat is because it's really not pertinent to our lives.
Yeah.
So
it's just dead.
Our honorable mention for Snapchat.
All right. Well, this has been fun, Alex.
It really has been. We really let it out. We let the steam out.
We did.
Media.
Yeah, because you and I really talk about social media all the time. And so now you guys are here to listen to us just spew this nonsense out into the world.
For sure.
Is it necessary for us to really post this? Yes, it is. We asked ourselves the important questions.
Yes, for sure.
All right, so that's been this week. Next week, to be honest with you, we're so lost with all of our podcasts, so we can't really give you a sneak peek for what to expect next week, but I assure you it'll be something interesting.
Yes. We were having some technical issues with some of our podcasts that we already recorded, so
we will probably be re-recording them. And if we said that another episode was going to come out in a prior podcast, and then obviously this is a different one, sorry.
You know, we're figuring it out as we go.
We're fixing our lives.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're just gonna live. All right. See you guys next time.
Later.